This is a KOIN 6 News weather alert.
And a weather alert as we look live over Portland, an ice storm coming down over the Portland metro area. That is the view from our KOIN tower camera. We have watched that lens ice over in just the past few minutes. The warning in effect right now. This could cause more dangerous conditions after an already destructive and deadly weekend. This is KOIN 6 News at 4 o'clock. I'm Jenny Hansen.
I'm Jeff Gianola. More people now found dead of suspected hypothermia due to this storm. And at this hour, there are still thousands of people without power. Crews also shutting down Interstate 84 ahead of the ice storm. Hundreds of trees have fallen in our area, closing roads and damaging homes. Some school districts already deciding to close tomorrow morning.
Now we have team coverage tonight, from road closures to power outages, home damages, and more. We want to start with Josh Kozart with what to expect. And Josh, this came right when you said it would.
Yeah, we really kind of said that 4 o'clock is when everything's going to get underway, and that's exactly what's happening right now. That's why we've got that KOIN 6 weather alert in place as the active winter weather continues to find its way across the Pacific Northwest. Seeing some of those icing conditions starting as far south as about Albany about an hour or so ago, and of course all of the moisture tracking its way to the north, even seeing some cars on the sides of roads out towards the McMinnville area as the icing starts to increase. Again, another live look at the icy conditions seen right here in downtown Portland as our temperature is at 26 degrees. You go up in elevation, that's where it's slightly above freezing, allowing for those snowflakes to melt and then once again refreeze on contact as the winds are out of the southeast at about 16 miles per hour. So here's our timeline as we move through the next several hours. Expecting to see the freezing rain take us all the way through about 6 o'clock or so, and the sub-freezing temperature is going to stay with us through the overnight hours. It's not until about 9 o'clock tomorrow that we see the transition of freezing rain once again return to just plain old rain, where our temperatures will get above the freezing mark. So what's this going to be doing to our roadways? Right now, starting to see a few of those slick spots start to crop up. By about 7 o'clock tonight, the icing really gets underway. Likely going to see hazardous conditions, and that will take us well into the 9 o'clock hour and then eventually into Wednesday morning. A live look right now out towards Ridgefield with our A-Lane camera. Smooth travel right now out along the I-5 corridor, but that likely will be decreasing as the rain, freezing rain, is taking aim at that area. National Weather Service keeping that ice storm warning in effect through the entirety of the I-5 corridor. Parts of the coast, southwest Washington, this is going to continue through tomorrow morning as we see a lot of active weather tracking its way from the southwest to the north and east. The pink, that right now is where the freezing rain is currently coming down. Seeing very little in the form of snow. If anything, rain out along the coast. As we zoom into Portland right now, there it is. Liquid rain falling. You might see maybe a snowflake here and there fall through the area, but this is going to be increasing our power outage likelihood through the overnight hours tonight because of the weight of the ice, and that's going to have the potential to once again bring freezing conditions to a lot of our pipes. So this is going to be an ongoing trend for us through the overnight hours into tomorrow. We'll have more details on this coming up in just a few minutes.
Okay, here's the situation as of 4 o'clock. Icy rain is now coming down as crews are still cleaning up from the weekend storm. Today has been a day of preparation for transportation crews waiting for the next round of winter weather. And Jenny, now it's here.
It is. Brandon Thompson checking in with several agencies on how they're getting ready. Brandon, what'd you find out?
It's really been a day to survey what they have, what they need to refill and refuel. That means the salt, the de-icer, and the sand. Like you mentioned at the outset, I-84 eastbound into the gorge closed at 257th Avenue here in Troutdale. That closure happening about an hour ago, presumably to give people enough time to get through the gorge to the other side of this closure in Hood River. Now, even without the wind, without the ice, that is, I would not recommend to drive through the gorge if you can avoid it. That means on those side highways outside of the interstate, when we were driving through there this afternoon, winds were whipping our car around. Now, road crews I spoke with say add ice to that wind, and that can push vehicles and people as well. PBOT has had its crews out getting sand on the roads, Multnomah County monitoring the problem areas they know about, and ODOT is getting as much de-icer out as it can right now.
This break in precipitation has really given our crews time to put down a lot of de-icer. We've been putting de-icer down throughout the Portland area.
We're lucky to have a small window where we can get more prepared. So we're making sure all of our trucks have all the necessary gear that they need, making sure that all the equipment's working, and then we're basically loading up and getting ready to go for the storm.
Despite the ability for de-icer to get out there today, Hamilton warns it is not something that will be a cure-all of all the icy roads and limit the danger out there. He says ODOT is warning people to stay home at least through tomorrow morning, maybe even the entire day, depending on what those conditions are. So that is something you want to take in mind overnight tonight. Now, as a last resort, ODOT can use plows to break up the ice. They say it's hard on the plows, but depending on what the conditions are over the next 12 to 18 hours, that is something they may consider doing. Live in Troutdale, Brandon Thompson, KOIN 6 News.
So Brandon in Troutdale, as he's showing us, they're shutting down the on-ramps to Interstate 84 because out of all our areas, the gorge, very dangerous under these icy conditions. Brandon, thank you.
KOIN 6 wants to know how many schools are ready to go following the storm damage from over the weekend. So Portland Public Schools announced that it is closing tomorrow because of tonight's storm. But PBS also says 11 schools are not yet ready to open. Beaverton has 6 schools that have power, heat, flooding, or debris problems. 2 schools are impacted in Gresham Barlow, 4 in Reynolds. Tiger Tualatin and Evergreen report no major issues. So far, we've not heard back from Hillsborough, Vancouver, or Salem-Kaiser.
We want to show you a live look now in the Dalles. Today, Hood River County declaring a state of emergency because of the current and expected weather. This allows the county to request help from the state of Oregon due to any storm damage.
In Multnomah County, a total of 4 people died of suspected hypothermia. The county announcing 2 of those deaths within the hour. Officials in Washington County are also investigating hypothermia as the potential cause of the death of a person in Tigard. That person was found dead in their home Monday. And in Lake Oswego, an elderly man was killed when a tree fell on a home over the weekend.
And thousands of people still remain without power all across the metro area. At this hour, Portland General Electric reports more than 25,000 customers are without power. Pacific Power reports more than 7,200 customers without power throughout Oregon. Clark County Utilities reporting 594 customers without power.
And hundreds of thousands of people lost power from the storm over the weekend. And while many of those lines have been restored, PGE customers tell KOIN 6 it's hard to get a response about what's being done, if anything.
Our Ariel Salk is asking the utility some tough questions.
We basically have been in the dark. We're just like, what is going on?
This PGE customer has been without power since Saturday, with no sign from PGE when this will end. So you haven't heard anything about a timeline of when it might be restored?
Nothing.
This viewer asked us to shield her identity, but desperately wants us to share her story.
I think this is day 4 with hats, gloves, multiple layers on blankets. I can see my breath. And that's how I've been waking up and going to sleep every moment.
She says she's tried desperately to get answers from PGE.
Every day I text help. Every day, multiple times of the day, to that last message they sent me that we see you have a power outage.
When the texts weren't working, she tried calling.
Pretty concerned that this is somebody that I'm expecting would have that information, but yet has 0 information for me, like nothing. Like, I thought that would be part of the job description.
So we reached out to PGE.
If you were to kind of grade PGE's communication to the public, what score would you give?
That's an interesting question. I would say we are doing the best we can. I'd say we are working very diligently and very quickly as we can to keep people informed and also restore power.
But why can't they update with customers faster?
The primary factor is the extent of the damage and the amount of assessments that our crews have to do to understand what the damage is and what that restoration time looks like so that we can be accurate and transparent when we do communicate with customers.
On the PGE website, some locations do have a restoration ETA.
So if you check the outage map and you have an estimated restoration time of 10 p.m. tonight, that means we are working against that deadline, and that is what we anticipate to do. If there is no estimated restoration time, then that means our crews have not yet been able to assess that situation and that damage.
But without the internet, checking the website is difficult.
Just please communicate with us with detailed information. Not that there's just a storm. We know that. We're living in it. We see it. We feel it.
Yeah, you feel for all these people. It's so cold in some of these homes. You know, you can find many warming shelters in Multnomah County. There is the Salvation Army in North Portland, the Market Street Shelter in Southeast Portland, Cook Plaza in Gresham, and Friendly House in Northwest Portland. In Clackamas County, Clackamas Community College is open in Oregon City, Imago Dei Church in East Portland, the Charles Jordan Community Center in North Portland, and in Southeast Portland, there's the Freedom Foursquare Church. The Multnomah County East Building also in Gresham, and State of Oregon Building in Northeast Portland. We have a full list on KOIN.com.
The freezing rain started coming down about 15 minutes ago. What about road conditions? Jamie Seymour joins us live from Mobile 6. I know you're in the Beaverton area. How are road conditions, Jamie?
Right now, they're okay, but really the rain started here about 30 minutes ago, and it is just continuously started to come down even heavier. I'm going to switch the camera around so you can see. We're seeing the roads are finally starting to empty out, just a few people left on the roads. We're on Farmington Road in Beaverton, heading towards where it transitions into Beaverton Hillsdale Highway. We actually just saw a TVF&R crew go by with chains on the fire truck. And like I said, the rain really started coming down in the last half hour. We didn't see many people on the freeway heading out here, but once we hit the surface streets about an hour or so ago, there were a lot more traffic as people were trying to beat the worst of this and get home. We have seen some ice already at intersections, but we've also seen crews out with the sanding equipment on and a plow. So folks are already out here getting ready. What we've also seen, unfortunately, is not a lot of people slowing down. So just a reminder, try to stay home if you can, but if you absolutely have to go out, take it slow because conditions will continue to get dicey. I'm already seeing some reflection on the roads. Things are going to start getting even more slick as the night goes on, and we'll continue to report on conditions across the entire Portland metro area. But for now, reporting in Beaverton from Mobile 6, Jamie Seymour, KOIN 6 News.
Yeah, Jamie, I was driving in some of those roads last night, and people were fishtailing. So with that stuff coming down now, it's only going to get worse. All right, thanks for giving us that view.
Now, you know, you can always track the forecast at any time at KOIN.com. Online, we also have all the information you need to stay safe during this Arctic blast and freezing rain. Plus, if you see weather happening, snap a picture if it's safe to do so, or a video, then share it with our weather team. Hope you're warm and safe, everyone. We're looking live now in Tualatin, an ice storm warning in effect for the Portland metro area. We're bracing for potentially dangerous conditions in the region. The freezing rain started falling in the Portland area about 20 minutes ago. Your full forecast minutes away. Stay tuned for that. As Multnomah County heads into the night 5 of activating severe weather shelters, they say they're increasing capacity and outreach to keep up with the record-breaking demand.
Yeah, staying on top of these life-saving efforts, Joelle Jones is live after speaking with the county and those still left in the cold. Joelle?
That's right. And with these dangerous road conditions shutting down several city and county services like libraries, known hubs for people to go and warm up throughout the day, I asked the county how they're dealing with this increased demand.
Compassion is a word America forgot about.
It's like literally the very least we can do just to keep people alive.
As Multnomah County braces for an ice storm invasion, despite deadly conditions, tents could still be seen lining the streets of Portland. That's why the county says their outreach teams are working around the clock to get people inside. With the joint office telling us last night they welcomed a record-breaking 1,181 people into 12 shelters, the highest number of guests and shelter sites seen since December of 2022.
We've got food, hot drinks, there's clothes. Folks come in, they get socks, different colors, sweatshirts, sweatpants, hats, gloves. That all gets passed out. And then when they leave, these are some of the stocks of sleeping bags and other things that folks are going to get.
Dennis Thoralt with the county says they are still in desperate need of volunteers overnight and tomorrow morning, with the shelters slated to close by 8 Wednesday. The county's efforts come as they say medical examiners are investigating 2 deaths believed to be weather-related. And just within the last hour, the county nearly doubling those numbers of suspected weather-related deaths. We want to send out a reminder, if you are hoping to get to a warming shelter with all these power outages still in effect, you can call 211 for a free ride. We're going to talk about how we also connected some folks to shelter services using that number coming up at 5. But for now, live in downtown Portland, I'm Joelle Jones, KOIN 6 News.
Yeah, we'll talk to you then, Joel. That's a very interesting story, how you can get help. Well, since this winter storm started, we've shown you many houses severely damaged by falling trees and limbs. Well, tonight, our Lisa Balick takes us to a home in the Oak Grove area where a family is struggling to protect what's left and not sure what to do next.
Cleanup underway throughout the area, but in some cases, some families don't even know where to start. This used to be a bedroom.
I heard a real weird noise, and then I heard glass shattering, and our whole house shook, and then my son came running out of his room screaming and crying.
Tasia Wilson grabbed her son and rushed out of their home. Outside, she stared at the giant tree that had fallen over and smashed through the top of their mobile home in the Oak Grove neighborhood, right through her bedroom, the ceiling now blocking the door.
My husband's not home. I mean, I couldn't get into our bedroom, I couldn't get into the bathroom, I couldn't anything, so I was trying to find my dog.
She found the dog and called her husband to tell him half their home was gone. Tasia took us inside.
It came through the roof in our bathroom, straight into our washing machine, and destroyed our washer. And nothing is sticking through his ceiling, but it is very caved in, and his room is half destroyed.
She says the tree has been a worry for some time, and that neighbors have called the owner of the overgrown vacant land next door several times in the past, asking them to trim the tree and take it down. She called that company today.
The conversation was, since we don't have homeowners insurance, that they're going to send out a crew, and she's going to talk to the owner and see if he'll help us, but there's no guarantee that they're going to help us.
I checked with the State of Oregon Insurance Division. They tell me when a tree falls on your property, it's usually your insurance company that handles the claim. They could perhaps go after the tree owner's insurance company if there's documented negligence. For now, Tasia and her family are staying nearby with relatives. Friends are helping them cover the huge hole in their roof with a tarp. They're grateful to be alive, but not sure what will happen to where they've lived for 9 years. Family members have started a GoFundMe for them. We have a link at KOIN.com. In Oak Grove, Lisa Balick, KOIN 6 News.
The pictures really tell the story there. Just incredible damage all across our area.
Our weather team is busy tracking this ice storm that we're experiencing. We are going to get to Josh in just a moment, but first want to check in with Chief Meteorologist Natasha Stenbach. Natasha?
Well, just within the last 20 minutes, we started to see that freezing rain arrive right here in Portland, and just outside the KOIN Tower, we have freezing rain already glazing the sides of cars downtown Portland. It really sounds like shattered glass falling, and if it hits you in the face, it doesn't feel good. Out towards the Portland area and Albany, we're already seeing that freezing rain. Scan the QR code on your screen and please share your freezing rain photos or video. And of course, as always, do it safely, and we'll put it on air here with credit to you. Live outside, hard to see outside of our Subaru camera on top of the KOIN Tower. It's already frozen over. We've turned the heater on, and I think the heating element is not quite enough to overcome these cold temperatures, 26 degrees. We go out to Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum. They are closed right now, by the way, so no need to use the parking lot. This car has been stuck here in the ditch for the last hour and a half. Hopefully they managed to get it out there. Vancouver waterfront, we're seeing some light freezing drizzle. And out towards Ridgefield, soon to come, you'll be having the freezing rain there. So let's talk about the timeline for everything. We're already seeing it here in Portland and for most of the Willamette Valley now, that freezing rain. Overnight, what's going to be taking place is moving from Portland out towards Hood River. You'll see the freezing rain move into the gorge and continue adding ice accumulations through tomorrow morning. As we look on our radar and satellite imagery, you'll notice it was shortly after about 1 o'clock we started to see that freezing rain move up from Albany and spread across Portland now. So most areas, with the exception of the coastline, now seeing that freezing rain. So what you need to know going into the next 24 hours, officially ice storm warning is in effect now, and it lasts until Wednesday morning. We expect anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to as much as a 1/2 inch of ice accumulation. Even a glaze is significant and would make roads hazardous. So continue to monitor that. Power outages are likely with this event as we continue to see some of that freezing rain accumulate on those trees that have already been weakened by those strong winds we've been dealing with. But Josh, you have the full detail of the next few hours going into tonight through tomorrow.
Yeah, this is something that we're keeping a very close eye on. It started exactly at 4 o'clock, like what we had forecasted, and it's just amazing to already see some of the sites trickling in for the Portland area. This is a time-lapse view. Just at the top of the hour. Within minutes, our camera completely iced over, and that's going to be the case as we work our way through the rest of this evening. Now, you'll notice our temperatures expected to hover into the 20s over the next several hours, as all of the pink, that's where the freezing rain is, tracking its way from the south to the north. The blue, that's the snowfall over the high terrain of the Cascades and points east, and out towards the coastline, temperatures finally getting back up into the 40s. This is a snapshot of about 6 o'clock tonight, though. Widespread valley freezing rain is going to be a concern as we continue to push our way through the rest of the overnight hours, still holding on to those icing conditions. So roads deteriorating over the next several hours, and that's even going to be taking us into the early morning time frame tomorrow. Still just about a degree or two shy of the freezing mark, 4, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning before our temperatures finally warm back up thanks to that southwesterly flow. That is, if it comes in on time, but we see our temperatures once again return to the low 40s. So as far as the snow accumulation goes, that's pretty much done and over with, maybe a trace for a few lucky folks, but it's going to be the ice that continues to build up. This is Portland by about 7 o'clock, 2/10 of an inch possible, and it's only going to continue to become more widespread and thick through the Portland metro area, and then eventually it's going to start to trickle its way down the Columbia River Gorge by the time we get to Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday evening. Now, Natasha talked about the weight of the limbs of the ice. That's going to help to increase our power outage risk tonight into the start of the day tomorrow, as we also add winds, insult to injury, out of the east, nearing about 20 to 30 miles per hour through the rest of this evening, not calming down until the midpoint tomorrow. Now, we do have a glimmer of hope here. Here's our forecasted temperature line. It dips back up into the mid-40s above the freezing line. That's when we can slowly start to chip away at a lot of the icy and snowy conditions that we're holding on to. But for tomorrow, your commute likely still going to be a mess, hazardous out there, as it's going to be a very slow meltdown for us. That's going to take us into the afternoon hours as the rain continues to fall. The rain in that case will help to start to melt any of the ice that we accumulate tonight. So it's not until about late tomorrow evening that we expect to start to see those improvements. That's why we got that KOIN 6 weather alert still in place for Wednesday as the rain showers take us into Thursday. But look at those daytime highs back up into the 40s for us. A nice change of pace that will feel balmy, almost 50 degrees come Sunday as those rain showers continue, and even next week seeing the mild temperatures and also the rain showers. So we just have to get through about the next 24 hours or so, and then there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Now, you were both talking about how this is some of the most dangerous conditions when we have freezing rain, and you saw how quickly it only started falling a half hour ago. Our cameras are now all iced over, the cars in downtown starting to ice over, and this is just going to continue for the next several hours.
Just keeps on going.
Yep, all night.
You tried to wipe it off. We have a little wiper up there.
Doesn't work.
No go. All right, we'll be right back. Stick around.
This is a KOIN 6 News weather alert.
That weather alert, the Portland metro area under an ice storm warning. The freezing rain started falling about a half hour ago here in the Portland area, and you can start to see cars slowing down, or some already pulled over on some of our major roads and smaller roads.
And we are staying on top of pipes bursting during this Arctic blast. These photos are from Dayton Elementary School in Dayton. A pipe burst in the ceiling this week, causing a mess of their office space. Some classrooms also flooded. Dayton was one of the many schools closed today. And with more frigid temperatures here, pipes can freeze or burst when those frozen pipes start to warm back up.
Elizabeth is here with tips to avoid a major mess. So there are some things you can do.
There are some preventative things you can do, and we hope to help you with that. First of all, keep in mind it may take up to 2 weeks before you can get help, but experts do have some advice on how you can prevent it.
Leave the cabinet door open to allow free airflow under the sink. And also, if you have any valves that are not connected to your sink itself under the sink, like more closer to the wall, you can shut those off because those are likely going to be connected to an outside spigot. Make sure that all of your exterior hose spigots are shut off and covered, meaning there's like either a cover over them. You can buy like a foam cover at Home Depot, or at the very least wrap them up in some kind of like towel and keep them away from the elements.
And what's great is that image you just saw there. That's the DIY version of how you can at least cover it up just a bit on your own without that styrofoam. If your pipes burst, it is important to know how to stop the flow of water, too. Now, you can usually find the shutoff valve in the garage, the front of your house, the crawl space, or on the curb. Something else to remember, to leave a pencil-sized trickle of water coming from your indoor faucets. That little amount of dripping water can actually help prevent your pipes from bursting because it keeps it flowing just a little bit. We have a few more tips at KOIN.com. Again, we just want to help you out. And it's just been so heartbreaking, Jeff and Jenny, as we know, because for so many people, unfortunately, I talked to one man yesterday. He is heartbroken because the pipes burst on both floors of his home, but he can't go anywhere. So he and his family are just staying there and going to have to wait until the flooding is cleaned up.
And the other sad thing, lots of folks think, well, okay, I'm fine. Wait till it warms up. And that's when a lot of the pipe issues make themselves known. That's when they start to burst as the temperatures warm up.
Absolutely.
All right, Liz, thank you.
Well, thousands of people remain without power across the metro area. At this hour, Portland General Electric reporting more than 29,000 customers are without power. Pacific Power reporting more than 6,600 customers without power throughout Oregon. Clark County Utilities is reporting 594 customers without power.
So if you end up without power and are looking for quick ways to heat yourself up, officials have tips to prevent carbon monoxide poisoning. Do not use your generator, charcoal grill, or camp stove ever inside your home. Also, don't run your car inside a garage. Keep your fireplace vented, and don't heat your home with a gas oven. All great tips to remember.
Yeah, turning back now to meteorologist Josh Kozar. Josh, you guys really nailed it as far as the timing of when we were going to start to see this freezing rain.
Yeah, we were really keeping a very close eye on it all days. It moved from south to north, but now it has arrived. And the rain accumulation and ice accumulation will only continue to build, and that's why we've got that KOIN 6 weather alert remaining in place. Just a few of the views seen across our area. Just a bit earlier, seeing a few folks trying to help out someone getting out of a ditch out towards the McMinnville area. So the slick conditions still very much so present. As we take a live look from the Stoller Family Estate Winery, we got a few icicles starting to accumulate there on our camera lens as the temperature out towards PDX continues to hover into the mid-20s as the winds are out of the east-southeast at about 20 miles per hour. So once you start to get the weight of the ice and the winds, that could potentially cause for some power outages as the freezing rain is going to take us all the way through the midnight hour, 6 a.m. or so. That's when it should transition from the freezing rain back over to just the solid rain, and that's when we will begin the meltdown here in the Portland area. So what about our roads? That's where we are already starting to see a few slick spots develop on the heels of what we already managed to pick up over the weekend. Still lingering, but now even more ice is expected by 7 o'clock. Really creating a thin layer of slick conditions across all surfaces, and that will only take us into tomorrow morning as well. As we take a live look right now out towards the Ridgefield area, everything looks like it's smooth sailing right now out towards the I-5 area, but that can quickly change as we're just now starting to see some of those first few raindrops fall in southwest Washington. As the National Weather Service is keeping that ice storm warning in effect all the way through tomorrow morning, expecting to see all of this moisture continue to push its way not only through western Oregon and Washington, but eventually in towards the Columbia River Gorge. Everywhere that you see the pink right now, that's where active rain is freezing on contact with our surface. As we zoom into the Portland area, again, widespread, no short supply of the moisture, increasing that power outage threat for the rest of tonight as the weight of the limbs maybe just becomes too much for some trees. And like we've been talking about all evening, talking about the potential for burst pipes as we start to get above freezing here in the coming days. So we are still in the long haul for this. Coming up on my extended forecast, we'll discuss exactly when that freezing rain will transition to just the rain in just a few minutes.
All right, Josh, an update from TriMet. The MAX Blue Line operating once again. It was shut down for several days. However, all other lines are still suspended because of the winter weather over the weekend. They say crews have made significant progress clearing snow and repairing damage, but it could change as conditions are expected to worsen overnight. I would suspect that perhaps they might be shutting the Blue Line down again, or already been shut down because of the freezing rain. But TriMet recommends using the bus services if you must travel. Avoid MAX because it's just too tricky, MAX trains, with weather, especially freezing rain and ice. But they also warn to be prepared for delays because some buses are using heavy chains which limit their speeds. Transportation to a warming shelter is free, by the way. Just tell your TriMet operator.
You know, across Portland and the metro area, snow and ice have caused delays in garbage, recycling, and compost collection for many customers this week. The city saying that you should still set your bins out on your normal day. If they're not emptied, leave them at the curb. They'll be collected as soon as it's safe to do so. We've already gotten a notice that ours won't be now picked up until next week, our next service day.
Yeah, well, let's bring in Pacific Power's Simon Gutierrez for an update when it comes to electric service. Always great to talk to you, Simon, here. How long do you expect repairs to take? We had that clear weather for 2 days, and then adding insult to injury, now we get the ice.
Yeah, we've got another round of weather coming this way, and we're anticipating that. Of course, our meteorologists have cued us into that coming. So we do have crews on standby again for potential additional impacts. We do still have around 7,000 or so customers around the state of Oregon without power. Our crews are actively working on making the repairs and restoring that power. We've got a couple clusters of outages that are especially problematic for us right now in the Sweet Home area down around Lebanon, and also in the Cottage Grove area there south of Eugene. Those are areas that have had heavy icing that has caused significant damage to equipment and is also hindering some of the repair efforts. So we're asking customers to remain patient with us. We're doing our level best to get the infrastructure back up, back functioning, and to get the power turned back on.
Yeah, so a lot of these customers, you know, obviously they don't have power. Some of them don't have Wi-Fi either. So how is Pacific Power communicating with customers, letting them know when that power could be restored?
Well, we ask all customers to make sure that their contact information is updated on our website. That's a simple process, only takes a couple of minutes. That way, if they do send us a notification or call us and notify us that there's an outage, that they'll receive automatic updates through their preferred method of communication. They can select text messages, emails, or direct phone calls. And in the case of some of our medical baseline customers, we call them directly as a courtesy just to make sure that they're doing okay. But if you do report that outage and you do have that updated contact information, we'll try to notify you in the way that you select. And if you did select text message, well, obviously that doesn't require the internet unless it's an SMS sort of message, but people can receive messages that way. We do have our website that offers updates, regular updates on outages and all across Oregon, so folks can access that as well. If they don't have internet at home, perhaps they can find internet using their phone somehow. We do have several avenues in which we're trying to communicate with customers.
Okay, Simon, and our thoughts and prayers out there with the crews working safe to restore power. Simon Gutierrez from Pacific Power. Thank you, Simon.
All right, now to a live look. Thank you, Simon. A live look in Lincoln City as another round of winter weather moves in. Our weather alert coverage continues after the break.
Bush Triumph. Bitter cold temperatures that pummeled much of the United States, now being blamed for at least 12 deaths from here in Oregon to Tennessee.
Elaine Quijano shows us the conditions both in our area and across the country.
An Arctic blast pummeled much of the U.S. Monday, carrying strong winds, bitter cold, and snow.
The challenging part is finding a spot for me to put all this.
Heavy lake effect snow buried cars in western New York and blanketed Highmark Stadium with so much snow, an army of Buffalo Bills fans helped clear the stands in time for Monday's wild card game, postponed from Sunday. Still, fans were forced to trudge through knee-deep snow to get to their seats and continued to shovel out just before game time. The extreme winter weather downed trees in Oregon and led to power outages for more than 120,000 at one point.
These are power lines that are wrapped around trees and branches that need to be disentangled.
On the roads, a wintry mix of snow and sleet caused havoc in the south. Multiple crashes were reported on Interstate 20 in East Texas, including this 18-wheeler. In the skies, airlines across the country have canceled more than 2,500 flights and delayed nearly 7,000 more Monday. And in Illinois, dangerously low temperatures, as cold as minus 20 degrees, froze the Mississippi River. The extreme cold has prompted schools in Dallas, Denver, and Houston to close. And this winter weather ends a nearly 700-day snow drought in parts of the Northeast. Elaine Quijano, CBS News, New York.
A KOIN 6 weather alert remains in place as Portland prepares for a warmer layer of air to move up over the cold layer near the surface, causing freezing rain and ice accumulation. That will also increase our power outage threat and keep hazardous driving conditions. I'll have the details of the ice accumulation right here on KOIN 6, watching out for you.
Now, the Portland metro area bracing for another round of winter weather. You're looking live at the roads from Mobile 6. So this is on 99W headed toward Tiger. They were just in that Barber area. An ice storm warning now in effect, and it could bring more power outages and down trees to our region. We are going to get to our full forecast in just a moment, but first we do want to get another check on how all the roads in the Portland metro area are looking.
Yeah, Dylan Rivera with Portland Bureau of Transportation joined us. I know, Dylan, it's going to be a very busy evening for you. The freezing rain started falling in Portland about 45 minutes ago. What is the latest situation right now?
We've been preparing for this all day. Thanks to the forecast, this is coming in roughly as forecast. And we've been pre-treating this to get ahead of it. And we'll continue to do that as we see hotspots emerging on our routes. Luckily, we have been able to get the routes on our primary plow routes down to bare pavement in many cases over the weekend. And luckily, thousands of people stayed off the roads today and made space for PBOT crews to work.
Yeah, Portland does have a lot of roads. So do you have any idea how many are actually closed right now?
At least about 40 roads are closed currently. And with freezing rain, you can expect, generally speaking, more down trees, more down power lines, and that's on top of the ones that we've experienced since Saturday. So that's why the timing of this is particularly bad, coming at the tail end of a multi-day event like we've all been experiencing. But it remains to be seen how severe this is tonight, and we've prepared for the worst, and hopefully it'll be lighter than forecast. But so far, it's coming in roughly around the forecast, and the expectation was that the most accumulation of freezing rain would be in this period we're just now entering, about 4 to 7 p.m. tonight. So everyone needs to remain vigilant, keep an eye on the forecast, don't travel if you can avoid it at all.
Yeah, and as we know, it starts out as, at first, well, it's not too bad, but then ice starts to build up. Then all of a sudden it becomes bad. Dylan, I'm sure we'll be talking to you over the next few hours, so we'll let you get back to work. Dylan Rivera with the Portland Bureau of Transportation. Thank you.
Okay, so we just heard Dylan say, well, hopefully it's going to be not as bad as you guys are predicting, and you guys both kind of, ooh.
There's hopes and then there's reality.
Yeah.
Two different things.
Yes.
Yes, we would all like it to be sunny and 70 at this point in the game.
We would. Yes.
It ain't happening. Okay, so the freezing rain already here. So Josh and I are once again tackling this meaty forecast. If you happen to stand outside, by the way, and want to be a part of the freezing rain experience, shelter your face because it feels like shards of glass at times. Here are some of the pictures that we had just from within the lab. last hour. Out towards our coin tower in the downtown area of Portland, you can see ice completely covering this windshield. Our own Kelly Barron, who will be on starting tomorrow morning at 4:30 in the morning, our morning meteorologist saying definitely sticking to the cars. She hasn't seen a glaze on the sidewalks yet, but they've also been doing a pretty good job with the sidewalks, salting things to make sure people don't slip and fall. So be very careful out there and scan the QR code on your screen right now if you want to share some of your weather photos and video from today. Let us know your location and your name, and we'll give credit to you right here on air. Live look outside right now. It's been hard to see outside of the coin tower camera, our Subaru camera, because it has been icing over a current temperature of 26. We have a lone icicle right here from our Stoller camera. And then out towards McMinnville, this is where we started seeing the freezing rain begin in the central and southern portions of our valley, spreading out to the north. And you can see they're just now starting to pull this car out of the ditch there at Evergreen Aviation, the Space Museum. And a live look from our A camera. You can see I-5 looking like it's moving along just fine, but I did just see a photo come in from Woodland, and they're already seeing freezing rain up there. So as we take a look at our timeline going into tonight, things to consider are where it's going next. From Portland out to Hood River, into the rest of the gorge, spreading like wildfire to the east along I-84. Again, this is why they're shutting things down ahead of time before it becomes really messy, and that's pretty much a slam dunk at this point. Looking at our radar and satellite imagery, we've seen just in the last 3 hours that freezing rain spread upward. We are still below freezing for much of the valley at this hour. What you need to know, ice storm warning will continue through tomorrow morning. Total ice accumulations will vary depending on your location, but could range anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to as much as 1/2 inch of ice accumulating. Hazardous roads, no doubt there. Power outages are likely. There's a plethora of hazards out there waiting for us as we get in through the next 24 hours. But to tell us more about this, Josh, you're also keeping your eyes on the roadways.
That we are, and we're really seeing the deterioration of a lot of the roads as the ice continues to build up on many of our surfaces across the area. I want to first just talk about the gorge locations, or as you approach the gorge. This right now, a live look at I-84 at 67th, and that's where a lot of the roads are already becoming icy, and we're only going to continue to see that get worse as, again, I-84 is closed through the gorge anywhere from about Cobert, I should say, to the Hood River area. As we take a closer look, though, at the Portland area, things are starting to slow down as we are starting to see that ice accumulate on many locations. So here's the futurecast. Everywhere you see the pink, that's where we are currently seeing the icing conditions tracking its way to the north, and still seeing our temperatures into the 20s by the time we get to Tuesday at 6 o'clock, so within about the next 2 hours or so. And then we start to see it break apart. So on again, off again. Freezing rain will allow for a lot of time for already the moisture that's on the surface to start to freeze as we still remain into the 20s and 30s as we work our way through the early morning time frame on Wednesday. Now, Wednesday for your commute, likely still going to be holding on to those slick conditions as our winds slowly start to transition out of the south, and that will help to warm up our temperatures, help to melt the ice, and transition everything falling from above to just be the plain old rain. So as far as the snow accumulation goes, really not seeing that come to fruition. Maybe a trace for some of the higher elevations above maybe about 1,000 feet or so. But for tonight, by about 7 o'clock this evening, seeing about 2/10 of an inch possible for the Portland area. It continues to trickle its way through the Columbia River Gorge, where Portland could near almost a 1/2 inch of accumulative ice by the time this system is done and over with. So that's going to be weighing on a lot of our tree branches that have already been strained due to the gusty winds. So power outages still a very real concern for tonight and for much of the day tomorrow. And then you add insult to injury with those strong east winds, seeing those gusts near about 30 miles per hour through the remainder of the evening. The good news is our temperature forecast is starting to push the mercury into the mid-40s above the freezing line. So it is going to start to slowly melt away, but not before we see some slushy road conditions for the start of the day tomorrow. Maybe even some freezing rain spots are a possibility. It all is determined on when those east winds start to become more southerly. So still into the afternoon hours, seeing the slick road conditions, and by the late evening hours, expecting everything to slowly start to melt away. day, just turning back over to rain. That's why we got that KOIN 6 weather alert in place again for tomorrow. Still holding on to that rain potential for Thursday as those temperatures hover towards the low 40s. That's still below our average for this time of year. 47 is where we typically should be sitting in the middle of January, and we get above that by the time we get to Sunday, almost 50 degrees. I think we'll top off at 50 come Tuesday. That will be a nice change of pace, feeling balmy for us as the rain showers continue and we get back to regular scheduled programming here in the weather department across the Pacific Northwest. It's going to be a nice sight to see.
Yeah, Jeff and I were looking at the cameras when you guys were talking. Not a lot of people driving from what we could tell, which is good. People stayed home.
Yeah.
Yes, learned our lessons.
Lots of things canceled because of the weather, including schools, and also the performance of Lion King canceled at the Keller Auditorium tonight. Organizers say it's to keep patrons, cast, and crew members safe as the storm moves in. Two more performances, by the way, have been added to make up for this. They're set for Thursday, January 18th, and Thursday, January 25th.
Well, you know, many pets have a nice furry coat, but that doesn't mean that they're not affected by the cold. The American Veterinary Medical Association says most pets are susceptible to frostbite and hypothermia, and they need to be kept warm when outside in those frigid temperatures. For dogs, shorten the walks, check their paws for cold weather injuries, and put a sweater or a coat on them. The team at the Humane Society in South Bend, Indiana, where temperatures have been in the single digits, says don't leave your pet alone outside.
Keep it brief, just to go potty, come back inside. You're looking at their paw pads too. It's really easy for ice and snow to get compacted into their paws. If you have salt down, you want to make sure that you're using pet safe salt. And like I said, just keep it quick.
The Humane Society recommending calling animal control if you find an animal out in the cold. Even these farm animals at the stock show in Denver needed extra help staying warm. Heaters were brought in for the pigs, while one owner used a special blower to keep their cow dry.
Here in Oregon, a look in Tillamook County now. The sheriff's office there shared these pictures here saying road conditions have been varying from dry pavement to solid sheets of ice. And sometimes he says that happens just a few feet apart from each other.
And take a look at these photos. A viewer sent us from Seaside. You can see these cars cased in ice and a thick layer covering the grass that's there right there on the beach. Now, with freezing rain that's coming down, the Portland metro area, again, could see some of these ice layers forming throughout the night. That brings another risk of falling trees and treacherous roads.
So this was the scene at Cannon Beach this week. Signs, light posts, sand, grass, all frozen. The Coast Guard was hit with freezing rain over the weekend and could be at it again today. Officials in Lincoln City warning residents just stay home. Enjoy a nice fire at home.
An ice storm warning in effect for the Portland metro area. KOIN 6 weather coverage continues at the top of the hour.